As we continue on now with our coronavirus update in our community, particularly paying attention to what's going on in our community, we're now joined by Maggie Brown, Director of Exhibits at the Tulsa Historical and Museum. Got it right. Maggie, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, let's talk about what the big plan you guys have going on. Oklahoma has not been hit by the coronavirus as hard as other parts of the country has been, but you are trying to collect stories of what's been going on in our community. Explain what's going on and why you're doing that.
All right. Well, we, of course, are always trying to collect history, including things that are happening in the present. A lot of times when things are happening, you don't know how important they're going to be in the grand scheme of history. But right now with this pandemic, we know that it is a historical time. And we want to try to record as much information and collect as many artifacts as we can while it's happening, while people are really thinking about those things, thinking about how their lives have changed right now, and maybe have things in their possession that really represent what's going on.
Give me an example of what you're trying to collect.
Sure. So there are some local businesses that are making specialized items during the COVID pandemic. There are lots of people that are making masks at home since they're hard to find commercially. There are local businesses making things like hand sanitizer because maybe their normal business isn't selling as many things right now. We know there's a local distillery, for instance, making hand sanitizer. And so collecting a bottle of that hand sanitizer is something that 20 years from now or 50 years from now will be a great item to represent this moment in history and show what the local atmosphere was like, what local businesses and local people were doing during this historical time.
How big do you expect this exhibit to be, and when do you think you might share this exhibit and open it up to the public?
So we actually don't have an exhibit scheduled currently. This is something where we are collecting for future generations. We know that in the future, people will want to research this time in our history and want to see and get an idea, hear personal stories about what life was like during this time. And so we're really trying to collect things right now while they exist and are easy to find for those types of exhibits in the future.
So Maggie, what is this project called?
This is the Share Your Story project, and it's a survey where people can go online and answer some really specific questions about what is going on in their daily lives right now, how their life has changed, any special celebrations they've had where they haven't been able to get together with their family and friends, and how they change their celebrations. And we've also asked people to guess how life might change as things begin to reopen. So this will provide a lot of information for future exhibits, future resources, students that are maybe researching this time in history in the future.
It'd be really amazing. I know we've had some tragedy in Oklahoma, but for those families who may have recorded that during the event with their loved one, like I saw a nurse on CBS this morning who had contacted COVID-19, so she documented her time in the hospital. So if you could get that kind of video, is that what you're looking for, if families did document this as well?
We would love to have videos of those kinds of experiences, or even, still photographs. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a special moment. It can just be what daily life is like. So I know there's a photographer that is taking family portraits on people's porches where, they're wearing their face masks. Things like that just will show future generations what this time was like.
How does one participate in this project?
We have a link on our or a link to our website. There's a direct link to the page, which is tulsahistory.org/yourstory. And people can also find that on the main page of our website. And so people have an opportunity to answer questions. I've been reading through some of the responses today, and they're very interesting.
So I'm guessing Tulsa's not the only community across the country who's doing this similar thing, documenting the experience of this pandemic. So why is it so important to document this as part of our collective history in Tulsa? And I'm guessing you might expand it out to Northeast Oklahoma as well, because Tulsa is the hub of Northeast Oklahoma.
Absolutely. Well, it's very important for us to be able to tell local stories. We know that the national story of this time in history will be well recorded, but in the future, there may not be very many details from Tulsa and the Tulsa area, that specific history. And those are the stories we want to hear from everyday people who are experiencing what are now everyday things that would normally be very unusual.
Maggie, thank you for your time today. And um, just to reiterate, everyone can go to your website. What is that again, please?
It is tulsahistory.org.
And then thank you again for your time. We really do appreciate it. And I hope you are very successful in documenting the stories of everyone who are going through, who experienced this pandemic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.